JBNN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones. Before we go into the news, please remember, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and introduce a friend to the channel. Attempted jailbreak at Greater Portmore Police Station. There was a riot at the Greater Portmore Police Station in St. Catherine, widely known as 100 Man, early Wednesday, as several prisoners reportedly tried to escape. Some of the prisoners broke free from their cells and made it to another section of the station house before the attempted jailbreak was foiled. Commanding officer for the St. Catherine North Division, Senior Superintendent Christopher Phillips, disclosed on Wednesday. There are no reports of injuries, though there are claims that tear gas was used to help subdue prisoners. A number of cells were damaged during the incident, according to Phillips. Bars completely cut, he said. The jailbreak was confined to 4 cells, which typically house 9 or so people, he added. They managed to get themselves in the general area, but the team that was on patrol was alerted. The police had to take action to get them under control, said Phillips. The incident is under investigation, and the prisoners involved could face criminal charges. Man charged over seizure of guns in Clarendon. The police in Clarendon have charged a man in connection with the discovery of firearms and imitation guns at an unregistered security company on the premises of the Denby Showground. Charged with unauthorized possession of prohibited weapons and stockpiling of prohibited weapons is 34-year-old entrepreneur Mickey Paisley of Denby. He is to appear before the Mapen Parish Court on Thursday, January 25. The police report that about 3:30 a.m. on Friday, January 19, lawmen carried out an operation at a security establishment in the parish. A search was conducted of the premises, and a total of 7 year wooden rifles, 5 .303 rifles, and 13 imitation firearms were found in a small room. Paisley was subsequently arrested and later charged. 2 men have also been charged by the Clarendon police over the seizure of a gun during a traffic stop on Waterman Street in Hayes. Charged with possession of prohibited weapon are 26-year-old Adrian Daly, a security guard of Content District in Yorktown, and 36-year-old Carl Palmer, a contractor of racetrack, both in the parish. The police report that about 6:30 p.m. on Monday, January 22, lawmen were conducting an operation. The police report that about 6:30 p.m. on Monday, January 22, lawmen were conducting an operation in the Hayes area when a white Toyota Probox was signaled to stop. The driver complied, then started to reverse in an attempt to escape the police. The occupants and the vehicle were searched, and a Glock 19 pistol was discovered under the mat of the passenger seat. Both men were arrested and charged. Their court dates are being finalized. Gun and ammo seized in Portland, 2 men in custody. 2 men were taken into police custody after a gun and ammunition were found inside a house which they occupied at Riversview in Windsor, Portland on Tuesday. The men, whose identities have been withheld, were arrested for the possession of prohibited weapon and unauthorized possession of prohibited ammunition. Reports are that the police, who were acting on information, searched the premises in Riversview about 11 a.m. and a 9mm Beretta handgun, along with a magazine and ammunition, were found inside the kitchen. 2 suspects who were present at the time the search was executed were held. Charges are to be laid as investigations continue, police said. Another St. Mary lockup escapee recaptured in St. Andrew. Another of the prisoners who escaped from the Rockabessa police lockup in St. Mary last December is back in custody. LaShawn Davidson, 26, also known as Weng, from Jacks River in the parish, was recaptured on Tuesday in the St. Andrew North Police Division. He is the 3rd escapee held since the jailbreak. Reports are that between the hours of 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Tuesday, an intelligence-led operation was carried out by the St. Mary Divisional Intelligence Unit, DIU, and members of the Port Maria Criminal Investigations Branch. The operation was in search of escapees from the Rockabessa police lockup. The DIU, through meticulous intel gathering, were reportedly made aware of Davidson's location. A covert infiltration of the area was done, and the escapee accosted and taken back into custody. It was positively identified. Last week, another of the escapees, Trey Walker, 24, from Claremont in St. Anne, was returned to the St. Mary Police after being in custody in Linstead, St. Catherine. Walker had reportedly been in police custody since January 7, but had given the authorities a different name. The previous week, 22-year-old Linton Bailey was apprehended by cops in an early morning operation in Wilderness, St. Mary. Baileyson Jacks River in the parish. Gregory Roberts found guilty of murder of 15-year-old Shanika Gray. Gregory Roberts has been found guilty of the 2017 murder of 15-year-old schoolgirl Shanika Gray. The verdict was handed down by a 7-member jury this afternoon in the St. James Circuit Court. Roberts is to be sentenced by High Court Justice Bertram Morrison on March 7. Gray, who was a grade 10 student of the Green Pond High School in St. James, was found in the community of Irwin with multiple stab wounds on February 1, 2017, 3 days after she was last seen alive in Montego Bay, returning home from the funeral of a schoolmate. Roberts and another man, Mario Morrison, were subsequently arrested and charged in relation to Gray's murder. Morrison later pleaded guilty in September 2022 and was sentenced to a term of life imprisonment. During the trial, which began last November, the court heard evidence that Roberts killed Gray as a way of getting back at his ex-girlfriend, whom he accused of conning money out of him and refusing to return it, and that he had Morrison record the fatal stabbing. The prosecution also provided cell site evidence, as well as text message logs, which showed increasingly menacing messages between Roberts and his ex-girlfriend, as well as between Roberts and the ex-girlfriend's mother in the hours leading up to Gray's death. On January 11 this year, Roberts gave an unsworn statement in which he said he provided taxi services for Morrison and 2 other individuals to Granville, St. James, on the night of January 29, 2017. He did not mention Gray in his statement. Constituencies to get $150 million spark to modernize parochial roads. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that approximately $150 million will be allocated to each constituency under the $40 billion Shared Prosperity through Accelerated Improvement to a Road Network Spark program to modernize secondary, parochial, and community roads over the next 2 years. The rollout of the program is scheduled for April 1 this year and will run across the next 2 budget cycles. Addressing the House of Representatives yesterday, Holness said the primary goal of Spark is to address the persistent deterioration of Jamaica's road network, enhance community safety and accessibility while promoting economic development.
Speaker, the purpose of this statement is to update this Honourable House on the shared prosperity through accelerated improvement to our road network program, the Spark program. I would think it might be your fault. As members would be aware, the Spark program is a $40 billion program designed to revitalize secondary, parochial, and community roads across the island within the next 3 years. The primary goal of this program is to address the persistent deterioration of the country's road network, enhance mobility, safety, and accessibility while promoting economic development and improving the overall well-being and road experience for local communities and businesses. The Spark program encompasses various improvements, including targeted enhancement to road surfaces and intersections, installation of localized drainage and culverts, bolstering road safety through retaining walls and guardrails, and implementing pedestrian facilities at selected locations. Madam Speaker, a crucial element of the Spark program involves a fair, transparent, and accountable process for identifying and selecting the road projects to be implemented. The success of the program hinges on collaborative efforts and active engagement at both the governmental and community levels. It is imperative that the people, represented by their elected officials, play a significant role in the identification and selection of projects. Given the mandate of the Constituency Development Fund, the CDF, in fostering community empowerment and promoting socio-economic progress, it is deemed an ideal vehicle for conducting the consultative process through which suitable projects for the Spark program will be identified. Madam Speaker, the CDF has therefore been instructed to facilitate the formal consultative process for the Spark program. Members of Parliament, through the CDF, will be asked to organize community consultation by parish council division with the active involvement of the relevant government agencies to include the SDC, municipal corporations, the NWA, NWC, and the JCF, as well as churches, schools, and businesses. These consultations aim to collect recommendations on the roads to be repaired and their priority order. I anticipate that this consultative process will conclude by the end of March 2024, presenting a prioritized listing of potential road projects organized by constituency. This is to facilitate the streamlining of the project implementation process from project conception to execution. It is important that this be done, Madam Speaker, because when MPs delay in responding and sending in their projects, it creates rippled delays throughout the process. This is not to say, Madam Speaker, that it is only MPs that delay the process. But if MPs do contribute to delays, we want to take that delay out of the process. So by the end of March, all recommendations which would have gone through a process of consultation should be in to the agency tasked with execution, that agency being the NWA. That will ensure, Madam Speaker, that we can have, I'm going off script now, but in anticipation of questions to come. But this will ensure that the other elements of the execution and management of the program can be done in a timely fashion. So we can have batching of roads instead of roads going one by one. So that way, Madam Speaker, the program can work more efficiently. So to the question from the member from Eastern St. Catherine that raised about another program for which you are still awaiting, we are trying our best to structure the program to avoid these kinds of delays. So, Madam Speaker, I am directing the cooperation of all MPs and the relevant state agencies in having these consultations being done in a timely fashion, utilizing the resources of the CDF. Every member of parliament should have a CDF officer and a liaison officer assigned to the constituency. Please utilize those resources to assist in organizing the consultations division by division. Consultations are not new to us as MPs. All MPs are required to conduct consultations for the use of the CDF in any event. And therefore, what we are doing now is to ensure that for such a large project that will have so much public attention, where there are so many interests at play, that all who have an interest should be able to have a transparent mechanism through which their views and perspective can be brought to bear on such a large public allocation for such a very sensitive issue as road repairs. Madam Speaker, the overall budget, as we had declared in our budget speeches last year, both myself and the Minister of Finance, is that a total of $40 billion will be allocated overall to the Spark program over 2 years. We were very clear when we made the allocation that there are some roads that would be directed by virtue of considerations such as traffic flow, the interconnectedness of the road to business and to urban areas, main roads. those roads will be dealt with separately, particularly because those roads would require the implementation of not just resurfacing, but if we're going to do those roads, we would likely want to change water supply, sewage, put in proper drainage and culverts. So we have split the program into two. So $20 billion would go to those main roads, and those would come now from a kind of national assessment done by the NWA.
JBN will keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.